What's up, people? Welcome back to the channel. I'm live on Twitch now, right? Yeah. It's morning. I'm having breakfast. Whoa. I'm gonna do this first. Having a hot pocket. All right. Okay,
Circuit for short. Thank you for the follow. So, what am I selecting? Get out. Okay. Gonna align that. Just going away from that alley for a little bit. Just laying the foundation of this part. Yo, Justin Ray. Hello, hello. Doing some texture work. Oh, mostly modeling work now with the textures we made last week. Is this one stretchable? Yeah. I always disliked working with Pro Builder, but I think that's because I keep trying to do everything as one huge mess. Sorry, a huge mesh. When that's just not how it's meant to be done. Well, that's not a bad thing. Matrix. One mesh is fine. But what you can do, that's what I'm doing. I'm having all these separate elements, right? And then what I do is just select these, and when I'm done with that, I merge them. Easy. Well, this one is tricky though, because that doesn't line up. So what we're gonna do? I'm gonna make it line up like that. And I'm going to connect that. And do this. Is that smart? Nope. It's not smart at all. Merge. Okay. Zip. Zip. Beautiful. And we fix that stretching in a bit. Well, it's not that bad. It's not terrible. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, it's not terrible. That's part of the left side. So with this we can just merge it again. This is the only annoying step with Pro Builder. So if you merge, you have to rebuild the shared indices. Otherwise, it's not working. It's doing weird. But now it's one mesh. Dimi ZBrush, thank you for the follow. And Zerozak as well, thank you for the follow. Why am I already nostalgic for the first teaser? Because it looks old. Alright, Triggers. Have a good sleep. Take care. Thanks for hanging out. Bro, you could have played the second teaser. We need that Hideki Naganuma. The other one is also Hideki. Jill. It's both Hideki Naganuma. This will have some subdivisions. Donk. Donk. It's not a problem if that's stretched a little bit.
Yo, check it. Yo, check it. Sibling. So what's up, people? You know, what's up, nigga? What's up, nigga? Corrupt ass, nigga. Have a coffee. No alcohol this time.
This music.
We're not partying this time.
Oh wow. The next playlist after this one is called Life in Ruins. Well, that's gonna be a happy one. There we go. You hear that? It's the Try Not to Dance playlist.
Yeah. What?
So I hope you're all trying not to dance. I certainly am.
Cheers out. What?
Also,
what,
apple stroke on toast. What are you talking? What are you talking about, Stingray?
What's going on in the chat?
Apple stroke. I just see the new game dev category on Twitch. It's about time, yeah. They got one, they removed one, and now they got it back.
Everyone, get your steezies up, get your vape pens up.
Anyone's food's
get that marijuana up. Get that dabs
up.
You know what I'm saying? I'm super slam. No, serious shit, I'm telling you here. Cheers, dude.
Oh, sweaty.
Cheers,
that's undefined,
homie. Oh, no.
Undefined.
That's how I make fun of Jerry. And Chris.
Well, try not to dance with this one. Also, try not to fall asleep. Mega hard fudge.
Liverpool.
All right. Is this connected correctly? No. Thought so. Gross. Well. There we go.
I remember one time he was live streaming and he wanted to save his progress, right? His work. And he hit save and the whole thing crashes. So everything that wasn't saved, all the work he did that day was like gone, deleted because it crashed. And he goes,
"Oh, that's funny.
Gotta do it again.
So
the game has to be fun." And he's like
6,212.
I'm like, fuck.
Follows.
That sucks.
And 162 sub points. This is not. It can't be a coincidence. That must mean something. What does it mean? Oh, there's one is one is difficult. Difficult and not dance. What happened here? Holy shit.
Liverpool.
What?
Liverpool. You know what that is? You know what I watched some dude on fucking on YouTube that there's like video game news, video game is everything you want. everything you need to know about the latest consoles and video games and what's coming out soon. But get this is in Spanish.
Where
Like this usually in Mexico is speaking
that,
Spanish.
That just come from.
And I saw a video when he went to go pick up his PlayStation, his PS5. He goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna go pick it up at Liverpool." I'm like, "What the fuck is that?"
Man.
And then I asked him, and I asked him a couple of questions, and I find out he's from where my mother's grew up as a kid, like where she's from. And then and my aunt visits from Mexico. And I asked my mom, like, "Hey, you know what Liverpool is?" And she goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "What?"
Nice.
That's where all the young kids hang out at Mexico. Like, what is it? It's pretty much a store where they sell video games. I'm like, yeah. Like, is there one or is there many? There's a bunch of them. Like, it's a brand.
Uh-oh. Classicos. Thank you for that. 2 months.
Liber, I think liber means liberate, and I don't know what pool. Why pool? I don't know what pool means in Spanish. I don't think it's a word. I don't think that. Liber pool. I think they're trying to say a word in English. That's what I think.
I can eyeball this.
Liverpool.
Oh wait, no, we don't have to eyeball this. I can just set the pivot over there. And we can grab the angle. Boom. And then we can align that.
It's just stuck in my head.
This one.
I'm trying to say it like with a full of smoke, but I can't even hear myself. It's just like noise canceling headphones. But someone knocking?
Easy.
Is someone knocking? Yeah, I can't hear shit, bro. Liverpool.
Beautiful.
G'day, mates! What's going on? It's been a while since I just sat here and talked with you guys. There's a ton of stuff happening right now, and it felt weird for me not to talk about it. Usually, when I start getting my Twitter blown up by people screaming at me, "Have you seen this? Have you seen that?" Probably about time I actually talked about some of it. And there's a ton. The Switch just had a massive update. On top of that, huge eShop sale happening right now, and even a sale on the Switch. Well, actually, it's even better than that. It looks like the Switch's price is dropping. The console is getting cheaper. Can you believe it? N64 might be coming to the Switch, but the biggest thing, which probably made you click on the video if I went with that for the title, is a Nintendo Direct is on the way. And that's just not me saying that because I wanted you to click on the video. No, it more than likely there will be one because there always is. I mean, they're not done.
Someone knocking?
One, and usually we get one in September.
Someone
Before
knocking?
we talk about anything. I want to get a couple of things out of the way.
You know what?
One, if you want to meet me,
I was lying.
you'll have
The noise canceling is on, but
I'll
I'm
be
gonna
in
turn it on.
Philadelphia
So
for too many
I
games.
wanna isolate
And
myself
same
to
goes
shit.
for October. I'll be right here in Texas for Retropalooza, and I'll
Oh,
have
I
a
missed
panel
what he
there as
said.
well.
I missed what he said. I'm
This
sorry.
year. I'll be in Philadelphia
I
for
don't
too
care.
many games, and same goes for October. I'll be right here in Texas for Retropalooza, and I'll have a panel there as well. You can come say hi. Just do me a favor. We're in like an awkward place right now with the world. If you're gonna come see me, please wear a mask. Usually I'll give you a big old hug, but it's already dicey as it is. We'll stand a little far apart awkwardly, even more awkward than these interactions end up being. and we'll just talk and we'll have a good time that way. A Nintendo Direct is most likely on the way, and not just because Arlo has been screaming about it on Twitter. Oh, wait, hold on. Before we get to anything, I need to show you guys. Yeah, all right. Some of you might have heard that I'm an idiot and I broke my Switch. I've used that for clickbait a couple of times in the past, but it's real this time. I messed up. I messed up. But I don't completely blame me. I blame a faulty product not doing what it was supposed to do. When you see this video get uploaded to YouTube, this is the thumbnail for it. Watch it if you want more context here. I bought some products off Amazon and one of them failed me. We'll just leave it there. And then I went live on Twitch that night with a stream and everyone was screaming at me to take the battery out. Like the console was going to explode or something if I didn't get that battery out of there ASAP. And I said multiple times, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy to do that. Don't know how. Never opened my Switch like that before. Actually, before we figure out whether or not this thing still works, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Square Enix. Yeah, that's Square Enix. If you played and loved Nier Automata, you're in luck, because the newest title in the Nier series just released on the App Store and Google Play. It's called Nier Reincarnation, and it's completely free to play. It's an action command RPG that features turn-based battles. You play as a girl who awakens in a strange place filled with vast pathways and buildings.
On the Switch, no, it's on mobile. I don't give a shit.
Mama, you begin your adventure meeting new characters and collecting and
I bet he's
upgrading your
getting.
loadouts. The combat plays a little bit like
but he's getting paid
with
to do
auto
this.
attacks
Sounds
and
like it.
abilities you can trigger when they come off cooldown. Since the game passed
He's getting paid to
600,000
do
free
this, so I know he
registrations,
is.
all players will receive enough gems to complete 15 summons for free, as well as a bunch of valuable materials to enhance your
Dude, he's
character.
getting
So
paid to
now's the
do
time
this.
to start logging in and claiming
No,
those daily
fucking
reward
would, dude.
bonuses. Help support my channel, click the link below and download for free to play the newly released Nier Reincarnation and enjoy the Nier Replicant collaboration until October 7th. And then
I guess
I
it's
woke
money
up
too.
this morning in watch
To
people
fucking-
die inside. Sparkles of a dead soul. I am dead. I do love how dead inside I am. Not even look, I am. Because I realized in this moment exactly what I've done and how stupid I am. But I also know that I'm doing it because of everyone in chat. And you can see the look I give the screen. And you know exactly who I am looking at. It's like a piercing gaze. And then I'm just done. I ended the stream like 10 seconds later. I was done. I do find all of this humorous. I mean, I hate that all of it happened, and I'm very frustrated with myself. But I mean, I was dying laughing at myself on stream with how dumb I was for thinking what I was trying to do was going to work. Yay. That definitely seems like water got in it. You can tell on my face already. You can see the look on my face. I know I messed up right here. So sadly, I actually haven't been able to test a lot of the new stuff on Switch. On that same stream, we did take a look at the Bluetooth that Nintendo have added. This makes no sense to me. You're telling me that the Switch, your Switch that you have at home right now, has had Bluetooth in it this whole time? I thought the Switch didn't have Bluetooth, period. But apparently it does have it, and that's how the Joy-Cons connect. Via, like, a modified version of Bluetooth or something. And now, almost 5 years into the Switch, Nintendo decided to just turn that on so that you could connect earphones to it. We connected on stream my Raycons to it, and yeah, it works great. I mean, it took 2 attempts to find the Raycons, but it works great. Also, they added a ton of other features randomly. It was a pretty big update. There's a load on there. Like, apparently, now when the Switch is in sleep mode, you can keep connected to the internet for updates and stuff, so it'll update your games while it's asleep, which is better than going to play a game that you think you're going to have fun with for an hour. And then, oh, no, sorry, you got to update for 30 minutes. And then there was another interesting one, an update for the dock. Switch Lites don't have this, but the regular Switch, you can force the dock to update. It doesn't work with the old dock. It's specifically for the new OLED one that's coming with a LAN port, which is interesting. Without reading too much into it, it seems like the new dock is going to get updates periodically, and you'll be able to update your dock. I mean, why? Whoa. By the way, perfect time to utterly destroy my Switch, because I am getting a new one here in a few weeks. There'll be a much bigger update about this broken Switch, by the way. I'm going to drag this out as much as I can, but well, yeah, watch the video if you want to see what I did. Why is Arlo trying to call me right now? Hey, Arlo, what's up?
Not much. You want to be on my, what do you call it, podcast? The thing?
Sure. What, this weekend?
Yeah, sometime.
Okay. Did you see I broke my Switch?
You broke your Switch? Why?
You didn't see that? Go to my Twitter. My Switch was literally on fire.
What?
Yeah, I know. I'm an idiot. But yeah, I'll be on your podcast. I'll talk about it on the podcast.
Alright.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, bye, buddy.
Bye.
Where was I? It doesn't matter. Let's move on. Whatever I was talking about, it doesn't matter. Okay, there is a huge eShop sale right now, and I want to look at the sale with you guys and show you some of these prices. Everything's like 80% off, 90% off. But speaking of Switch being cheap, in Europe right now, you may have heard about this. I'm late to everything. I only heard about it today. Nintendo dropped the price of the Switch by 30 euros, which is $35 US. Not the OLED and not the Switch Lite, just the Switch, the normal one, is going to be $35 US cheaper in Europe. They said it was because of just the way the importing, exporting situation, I don't know. Just in Europe specifically, they said it just made sense to make it cheaper.
I'm paranoid.
Clearly, it seems like they found room in the budget to make the Switch cheaper, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. The Switch is, I mean, we know, I said it in the last video, it sold over 90 million units. It's selling fine. Nintendo didn't need to drop the price. There's no reason. They could have just left it at that price. People wouldn't have said anything. I mean, we all accepted that the OLED was $50 more for almost no reason. I mean, it's just a weird... Nintendo doesn't often do things that's like, well, that's actually pretty nice. Thank you. And this is one. So now the question is, will the US and Australia and other places see a price drop for the Switch? Hopefully, that would be nice for me right now. I have to rebuy the Mario Red one. If you're not checking this best sellers tab like every other day, you should be. Actually, not best sellers, great deals. You should be, because there's always insane price drops in here. And right now, like, they're all like 50 to 80 to, I've even seen 95% off. Xenoverse 2 is 85% off. Little Nightmare, 75% off. Ni no Kuni, 75% off. So Tales of Vesperia is 75% off. Dragon Ball FighterZ is 85% off. Some of these Lego games, again, 75% off. God Eater 3, a little bit of a gem on the Switch, is 80% off. It's only $12 right now for that whole game. This is actually a pretty solid fighting game. I like the My Hero 1 Justice 2 fighter, and that's 65% off. So yeah, you really should be checking this tab every day, but there's usually always big sales, but right now there's another one going on, so give that a look. And if you're looking for good eShop games and you want to see if any good ones are on sale, I have a whole series of videos about that. So the reason why a lot of people are freaking out thinking the N64 is coming to the... There's actually a bunch of reasons why they're getting the 64 Virtual Console. It's kind of a best guess, but it's looking like something is coming to the Virtual Console. It could still be Game Boy or GBA or something, but the reason why now it's looking like it's probably a home console Virtual Console thing is because a new patent for a Nintendo Switch controller appears to be in the way. And it's a similar pattern to what we saw when the NES and the SNES came to the Switch Online, and they had the NES and SNES special edition
The
controllers
lights are
that you can buy to
blinking.
play
I'm
the games,
thinking
and the
all
fact that
over
it's a
when I go
controller
while
makes you
drinking.
naturally
Oh, making
think
my mind
NES,
slow.
SNES, well,
That's right. I don't
64
fuck
has to
with the
be
big
next,
5-0,
which is
bro.
very exciting if this happens. For me specifically, because I love NES and SNES, but 64 just had some gems, didn't it? Like, this could mean, and I don't see why it wouldn't mean, we could finally get Ocarina of Time on Switch, even if it's just the old one, not the remastered 3DS version, fine. But we could finally see Ocarina's, Majora's Mask, your Banjo games, which, I mean, we have Banjo in Smash now. May as well put the Banjo games on Switch.
Imagine having a
you
channel
name it,
called
like,
Making
leave it
My
down
Mind
below.
Slow.
I mean, old school Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium. It opens so many options and gives you so many more games to play either on your own or with friends.
Like, welcome
And
to
then
Making
that
My
all
Mind
leads
Slow.
into,
Today,
like,
this
everything we
episode.
just said leads into the Nintendo Direct, right? Because so much has
It's like a
happened
badass
or
intro.
could be about to
An old
happen
school
that
2000
it makes sense
show.
Nintendo would want to do a direct
The
and
G4.
reveal all of this, as well as No More Heroes has come out, Monster Hunter Stories 2 has come out. We're going into the tail end of the year, and we're not really sure. I mean, WarioWare also just came out. So really now, the big games that we had this year that we knew were coming and we were looking forward to have
dude,
come
I
and
rented that
and
game.
now
I have
it's
it
just a
right now
question of
on my
what's
Switch.
next. And usually when
Dude, that's
you're
a
left
fucking
wondering what's
badass
next,
game. I gotta buy
that's
it.
when a company
I
needs to
gotta
come
buy
out
it.
and tell you what's next. We just had that.
I don't
with
think
the
I am.
PlayStation
I think
event,
I'm.
which I
gotta
reacted
buy
to
it.
on
Yeah.
Twitch if you
But
care to see
I
that
want to get it when
reaction,
it's cheap. Like, I'm
I
sure to
guess to
get it
sum
like
up,
on
I
Black
really
Friday.
liked it. There was some cool
That'll
games,
be cheap
Spider-Man
then,
and
but, like,
Wolverine, I can't wait. Also, for
Whenever it
looks
gets
really
cheaper,
good,
but
and I've been hearing a lot of good things
keep an
about
eye on
Deathloop, but I
Cheap
still
Ass
haven't
Gamer.
played it. But yeah, we were
Wario
needing some
64.
PlayStation news, and we got some PlayStation news. Right now, we're needing Nintendo news on software and the games that are coming, and it's September, and we usually get a direct in September. That's kind of been a pattern for a long time now. So the stars are aligning there. But look at everything we've
I have
talked
never
about. They
bought
have the new
anything
OLED
from
coming in
release,
like
though.
3 weeks at this point. With
When I got
Metroid
the
Dread, they're going to
PlayStation
want to hype
Xbox,
that up
I
again and talk
I
about
did
the
it
new
on my
update
own.
and what they've added with the
Without
Bluetooth.
links.
We're building up to a direct, is what it feels like. When all these things start happening like this, a lot of them that are flying under
stressful.
the radar, Nintendo's not really talking about. It's probably because it's all leading up to an official announcement in a direct, and it's just time that we had one anyway. Okay, that's it for now. I had to talk about all this stuff, otherwise I would just be questioned out of existence on Twitter and on my live stream. So I hope this satisfies you. I really do enjoy talking about this stuff though, and getting a chance to just speak at a mile a minute, because I do get excited about a lot of this stuff. Hit the bell as well, please, by the way, and subscribe if you're new, and like the video if stuff like this helps you out. And yeah, see you soon. I don't have a way to end the video, so it's just gonna end here.
Boom, boom. Take a dab. Smoke a fat blunt and trip out to the second. Ooh, ooh. Microsoft set to make another massive move.
All right, today I want to talk a little bit about Microsoft, specifically rumors that are going around right now with Microsoft looking to make a big move for Xbox. That mostly has to do with a really big acquisition. Think on the same level of like ZeniMax and Bethesda. Remember one morning everyone woke up and Microsoft was like, oh yeah, we acquired ZeniMax and Bethesda. All those IPs you associate to them, like, I don't know, like maybe Fallout or Elder Scrolls. Yeah, those are all part of Microsoft Studios right now, and they're already leveraging that acquisition with Starfield being a Game Pass exclusive title, not going to the PlayStation. So now everyone's thinking, okay, who is Microsoft going to acquire next? There are a lot of ideas out there, and I'm also going to talk about who I think it's going to be. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So first of all, let's talk about where a lot of this is coming from. Now, this is Okami Games over on Twitter, who started taking screenshots of different people who were kind of hinting and teasing towards this. For example, there's was this Skulls saying that they predict a lot of internet lawyers debating monopoly laws, going over crazy rumors regarding another huge potential Microsoft acquisition. There was Tom Warren, who posted up little Cookie Monsters like waiting, and then we had ACG, and I did notice this tweet, but I mean, I guess we're coming up on a month now, and some of these acquisitions take a while to develop anyway, kind of in the background. But he said, looks like another purchase is heading into getting announced within 1 month. That is pretty big. I suppose at this time, we just need to assume 4 gaming companies own everything. And I'll tell you this. There does appear to be something happening with Microsoft when it comes to an acquisition. It probably doesn't surprise anyone. We've seen Sony make acquisitions recently, but they're not necessarily for, like, intellectual property. Not like buying a studio or a publisher because they have a bunch of IPs.
For my mind is
buying
corrupted.
Studios that I think make sense.
I corrupted
to
it.
buy for more utility purposes.
My mind's
like,
corrupted
an
with
example is
this
Nixxes.
here.
They bought Nixxes
This
seemingly
stuff, bro.
to help port
Look.
games, like to PC.
Read
We
it.
saw
It's
what happened with Horizon Zero
called
Dawn. Wasn't a great launch on PC for Sony. They have since fixed it. But
Cobra.
if you can bring in a studio that
Cobra
is good at porting games to
Extracts.
PC,
Is that coming out?
decent,
Is it coming
certainly
out?
better than their
Yeah.
first outing they had with
Check
Horizon
this out.
Dawn, then you bring them in. So
You
they
hit
can
this
help
button
you
right
and
here.
Maybe other studios can
Right
learn
here.
from them, or they can just work to run support
Bam.
if need be. That makes
Ready
sense.
to go with that.
Microsoft is not buying a studio or publisher for that. They're buying it for a wealth of IPs
Ruther,
and, yes,
dog,
the development force that comes with it.
Ruther.
Like, take the ZeniMax and Bethesda acquisition. Sure, a lot
This
of
is
intellectual
California.
properties came with the ZeniMax.
Marijuana.
However, they did get a lot of developers who are very good at what they do. Arcane just
Powder.
released Deathloop, and that game is fun.
In
It
the
is a good
city,
game. Obviously, we're
city
looking at
of
Starfield
Lakewood.
going, okay, this is going to be from
They
Bethesda.
take care
We expect it to
of
be pretty good.
all the
Especially if you're someone who's a
homeless.
fan of like Fallout or Elder Scrolls. You're hearing about this and you're like, wait, this could be Elder Scrolls in space. Yeah, I'm there. I'm going to pick that
Fucking,
one up. So
that was South
who
Park.
would we see Microsoft look to make a move and acquire? Well, one of the leading candidates, and I have a hard time believing this one, it goes back a while, and that's Take-Two. I have a hard time believing it's Take-Two, mostly because I don't know why Take-Two would want to be acquired, considering they just do Grand Theft Auto 5 and make a stupid amount of money for it. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out 8 years ago, by the way. It was September 17th, 2013. Who'd have thought 8 years later we'd be talking about Grand Theft Auto 5 getting delayed into 2022? Not me. But I guess if you look at it this way, Take-Two would cost more money than ZeniMax and Bethesda. I think it'd be quite a bit more money. But Grand Theft Auto 6, being a Game Pass
It's
exclusive,
the bong.
if you want
bang.
to take Game Pass to the next level or accelerate Game Pass adoption, I don't know any other game that's going to do it faster than Grand Theft Auto 6. When that game is announced, it is going to be hyped out of control. It's going to be unbelievable how much hype is going to follow Grand Theft Auto 6, right? So maybe if you're Microsoft and you look towards the future and realize this is going to be a 20-year thing for them with Game Pass, and like, you know what, maybe it is worth the tens of billions of dollars it would take to acquire Take-Two. Maybe they can justify it there, but I think there could be better options for them. Another one that comes up is EA. EA, I think, is kind of in the same boat as Take-Two. Do they really want to be acquired? I mean, they're doing Madden, and it's working for them. It just topped the MPD sales charts, and, like, it's still Madden every year, right? So I don't know if EA is really jumping up and down like, ooh, pick us. But it could be Sega. I feel like every time Microsoft and acquisitions come up, Sega comes up. But I think everyone just wants Microsoft to buy Sega and just get it over with, right? It's like, look, just throw them a bone. Okay, Sega's had a hard time. They don't know what they're doing with Atlas, it seems. I mean, Atlas knows what they're doing when they create games, but, like, how do you get surprised that you put a game like Persona 4 Golden on Steam and it sells well at $20? Like, how does that shock you? It's weird to me, some of these decisions that Sega makes. Then we see some of the development concerns around these games that are coming out. Like, we saw what happened with Sonic Colors Ultimate. And yeah, some people are like, you know, maybe it is time for Sega to get acquired. I saw some people bring up Square Enix. I don't really know if Square Enix would get acquired by Microsoft. I know there's a whole thing around, like, if you're going to acquire a Japanese company, but Microsoft did almost buy Capcom. It's a story that kind of goes around here and there, but for a while there, Capcom was in some trouble, and apparently Microsoft was this close to acquiring them. But Monster Hunter World worked out, so Capcom was fine after that. And let me see, Resident Evil is certainly on a big upswing now. So Capcom seems to be good. They don't really need to be acquired now. At least they don't feel like being acquired. I've also seen WB Games brought up, and this one would work, I feel like, if Microsoft was looking more for studios rather than just a bunch of intellectual properties. I mean, if they bought WB Games, you would see Mortal Kombat go to Microsoft because of NetherRealm Studios. However, whenever you see Batman, for example, developed under the WB Games name, that's generally like a contract that's set up. They don't actually own the Batman IP. But, I mean, if Microsoft bought WB Games, maybe all of the studios underneath them with, like, Rocksteady, TT Games, and all of the other WB Games studios, then maybe they would also kind of get the end for some of those contracts around characters like Batman, and they can set up kind of their own superhero under the Xbox brand. So if I look around at a publisher or a studio that would bring value to Microsoft, probably cost about the same, I think, as ZeniMax and Bethesda, maybe a little more, it would be Ubisoft. See, I think that would still be a pretty big announcement. Microsoft acquires Ubisoft, which means Assassin's Creed would just be part of Game Pass. It wouldn't be going to PlayStation anymore. And then you look at things like Rainbow Six. Well, if they do go beyond Rainbow Six Siege, will that game just be part of Game Pass? Because we see, like, Extraction, that's kind of like a spin-off of Rainbow Six there. So maybe more of those kind of projects would be Far Cry, that could come out in the future. They could do different things with The Division, which are already planned. And then you kind of go back into their legacy catalog of games, and maybe Game Pass would allow them to finally create another Splinter Cell title. Possible. Maybe they go back and they create a new Prince of Persia game if the Sands of Time remake works out. Games like Ghost Recon and Assassin's Creed and a lot of these live service games that we see Ubisoft do would make sense in Game Pass, because there is still a factor of the post-download, I guess we'll call it, rather than post-purchase spend, where there are microtransactions.
So with heavy rumors of the N64 finally coming to the Nintendo Switch's online service, I thought to myself, hey, we just made a video talking about the Game Boy and Game Boy Color games I want to see. Why not do one for the N64 as well?
Yeah,
now, there are two types of games that will not be on this list going into it, so just keep that in mind. First off, if a game is already available on the Switch in any way, shape, or form, I'm not going to include it. So a game like Turok or Super Mario 64 does not make the cut. Second, if there are heavy licensing issues with the game, I'm not going to include that either. So a game like GoldenEye 007 or WWF No Mercy won't make the list, but I did manage to get one good wrestling game on the list. So what are the games I want to see on the N64, and why should these games be on there? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like and share the video, but without any further ado, let's get into the list. The first game we're going to talk about is one of the earliest games released on the N64. It's an arcade racer, but I still think it's a lot of fun, and that is Cruisin' USA. Now, there were subsequent entries in the Cruisin' franchise that were released on the N64, but I feel like this game is a good fit for the Switch Online service just because of the fact that it sort of reminds people of when they first got their N64 and one of the first games they played on it. Now, of course, this is an over-the-top arcade racing game. There is, like, cows you have to avoid, and you're on all sorts of different tracks going at high speeds. If you've played an arcade racing game before, you sort of know what to expect with this. But hey, there's, like, hot chicks at the end of the race if you do well, too. So, I mean, you know, that's kind of a bonus. I really enjoyed Cruisin' USA. It's not the best version of the game or anything like that, but I think the N64 version of the game is good enough, and it would be a welcome addition to the Switch Online service. Next up, one of the best kart racing games that technically isn't a kart racer, I guess, would have to be Diddy Kong Racing. Now, Diddy Kong Racing was special because whereas a game like Mario Kart 64, just you had these karts that you rode on in the game, this game offered karts, it offered boats, and it also involved airplanes, which was pretty different than what we saw from all other kart racers available on the N64 at that time. Now, Diddy Kong Racing is a fantastic game, not just because there's a lot of gameplay variety, but the whole adventure mode really makes this game sort of stick out from other kart racers on the system as well, as there's like boss races and cool stuff to explore in this huge open world area that you use to traverse to other areas of the game. I really like the gameplay in this game. I think the graphics still hold up till today, and of course it had a really good battle mode in the game as well. And if we're going to assume that the N64 will follow what the NES and the Super NES do with the Nintendo Switch Online service, I'm going to expect some online multiplayer in these games, and that would be a big addition for Diddy Kong Racing. As much as I would love to have GoldenEye 007 on this list because I like it better than Perfect Dark, I can't do it because there's going to be so many licensing issues with that game that it's just not realistic. So Perfect Dark is definitely the best choice to make when it comes to first-person shooters on the N64. And yes, most people do like Perfect Dark more so than GoldenEye 007. I don't know, just as a kid, I was more into GoldenEye. But Perfect Dark allows you to do things that you couldn't necessarily do in GoldenEye, because whereas GoldenEye had a story that was already based on the movie, Perfect Dark and Joanna Dark, you could definitely do a lot more with the story, and I think it made for more interesting set pieces and more interesting levels. Of course, it is a first-person shooter. There's lots of cool gadgets you get in the game as well, and it's essentially the spiritual successor to GoldenEye 007, so it's good enough for me. Sprinkle in some online multiplayer if they decide to put this game on the service, and this would be one of the most popular games on the Nintendo Switch Online service, and rightfully so, because it's a really good game. Now, I know they said that Diddy Kong Racing was definitely different than Mario Kart 64, but I said that just so I could add Mario Kart 64 to this list, because, I mean, come on, it's freaking Mario Kart 64. Look, I get it. People have nostalgia for the Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, and, like, I played that game as a kid. I played it over at my cousin's house, and I definitely had fun with it, but I didn't own a Super Nintendo, so I didn't get really emotionally invested in this game. When Mario Kart 64 came out, this game absolutely blew my mind, and it's still a fantastic game to play today. Of course, you have your different racers you go on these different tracks and whatnot. Toad's Turnpike is still like the best track in any Mario Kart game. I don't care what anyone says. The music is so good. It's just so much fun to play this game. And then once again, you also have a battle mode with this game, which would really lead to some fun stuff with online. You can't have the N64 online without having Mario Kart 64, so it's on the list, damn it. When it comes to The Legend of Zelda, of course, there are 2 games to choose from on the N64, and while a bunch of people love Majora's Mask, I never really got super into it. Like, I finally finished it on the 3DS with the 3DS version of the game, and I definitely liked it. I like the darker tone, but for me, Ocarina of Time is just one of the best Zelda games of all time, and for me, that's the game I want to see on the Nintendo Switch's online service. It's a timeless game. Like, there's so much stuff to do in that game. There's so many secrets, there's so many side quests. You, of course, have all these awesome dungeons, all these awesome boss battles, a really good story, which up until that time, you know, Link to the Past definitely had a great story, but I feel like this story was more realized with Ocarina of Time just because of the 3D graphics. Now, the 3D graphics haven't held up all that great over time, but I still think this is a really sharp looking game, and most importantly, the gameplay of it is so good. It's like, this is an absolute no-brainer. I'm sure we'll get both games on there, but if I had to choose between Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask first, I'm going Ocarina of Time first all the time. While we might not get a F-Zero game anytime soon, or ever again, to be honest with you, F-Zero X on the N64 is definitely a great game for the N64, and one that would just make its home on the Nintendo Switch. Now, the cool thing about F-Zero X is the fact that there's a lot of Switch games that don't run at 30 frames per second. There's a lot that do, and there's a couple that run at 60 frames, whereas F-Zero X was running at 60 frames per second on the N64. It is a high-octane racing game. It might not be the best-looking game as far as the tracks are concerned, but the tracks themselves are fun. There's just some low polygon textures, but like, who cares? You're whizzing around these tracks at like the speed of light anyways. You're not looking at the tracks, you're looking at other racers to make sure you don't knock into them and they try to knock you off the course, and you're trying to get your boosts and whatnot. I know I'm kind of rambling with this game, but I feel like F-Zero is just a perfect fit. Maybe it's not a perfect fit for the modern era because we have sort of gone away from the arcade racing style of games, but I would still love to see a new F-Zero, and damn it, if I can't get a new F-Zero, F-Zero X on the N64 would definitely pick up the slack for me. Fighting games and RPGs were definitely underutilized on the Nintendo 64, and I'm not going to add an RPG into this list. I mean, Ogre Battle 64 was pretty good, but as far as a traditional RPG is concerned, we have Quest 64 and Brian. Like, his name is Brian. That's not very fantasy based here, and it's supposed to be a fantasy game. But on the fighting game side of things, we did have a couple games that really stood out, and Killer Instinct Gold is definitely a game that I feel stood out. Now, it's kind of weird. Some people dogged this game when it first came out, primarily because of the fact that 3D games were starting to become really popular, and 3D fighters were catching on. Games like Tekken 2 and Virtua Fighter 2, and then you have Killer Instinct Gold, which is a 2.5D fighter basically taking place on the 2D plane with 3D environments. And yes, the characters are 2D sprites, so it kind of looks a little weird sometimes when you're talking about them with the 3D environments, but still, I think the gameplay of this game is what makes this game stand out. Of course, all the crazy combos, all the cool levels that you encounter, you could knock people off of the levels as well as sort of a finishing move in the game. Definitely an underrated fighting game, and a game that's pretty much been lost to the sands of time. And I feel like the N64 online service would be good for games like Killer Instinct on the Nintendo Switch as far as Killer Instinct Gold is concerned. Now, one genre of games that had a million entries in it was, of course, 3D platformers, and I went through the list of 3D platformers, and I ended up settling on just one for this video because, I mean, you could easily make a 3D platformer only list for the N64, but I'm going to go with Banjo-Kazooie just because I think the overall package of that game is great. Now, I love Super Mario 64. That is my favorite 3D platformer on the system, but if I had to pick a secondary one, it would be Banjo-Kazooie with probably Conker in third place. I love Conker, but that humor, you know, it's good. It's definitely good. It was great for the time, but it's just kind of, I don't know, a little bit lowbrow nowadays, whereas Banjo-Kazooie is more of a pure sort of 3D collectathon platformer game that N64 fans absolutely loved. Donkey Kong 64 was nowhere on this list because I don't like that game, but I do like Banjo-Kazooie, and I think this would be a fantastic entry for the Nintendo Switch's online service, and plus, I mean, he's in freaking Smash Brothers. Put Banjo on the N64 online service for the Switch. There's not many hidden gems on the N64, but one of the best hidden gems, which really isn't a hidden gem because every hidden gem person, probably myself included, has already talked about this game, would have to be Mischief Makers. Now, this game was designed by Treasure, and it sort of stands out on the N64 because it's a 2D action-adventure game. Yes, it has the 3D background sometimes, so it's sort of 2.5D, but really, it's a 2D platformer game where you're barreling through different enemies, solving different puzzles in some levels, and of course, really cool boss battles. I think this art style definitely holds up to today. It's one of the best looking N64 games when you're playing your N64 today because it's 2D. 3D, of course, hasn't aged all that well, whereas 2D has aged very, very gracefully. I think Mischief Makers is very fast-paced, very frantic, and most importantly, very fun, and would be a great game to add to the N64 when it comes to the Nintendo Switch online service. And the final game is a wrestling game. Now, like I said, I couldn't do No Mercy, I couldn't do Revenge because of licensing issues. But there is one game that I feel like we could sort of circumvent these licensing issues, and that is Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. Now, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 was essentially WWF WrestleMania 2000 for the Japanese market, but there's some slight differences in the game that make it actually a bit better, such as the spirit meter, and you could have like these, you know, Japanese-style wrestling comebacks that are really cool. But most importantly, it still has that Aki engine, which is what we want from an N64 wrestling game. Now, yes, it does use real wrestlers from Japanese organizations and gaijins, which are, you know, white dudes and American dudes that are in Japanese wrestling federations, but I feel like get rid of the names, maybe change up the color palette of the characters, and like nobody will care. Nobody's looking for this like WWF would or WWE with their back catalog of games. This game absolutely kicks ass. It's probably the most imported N64 game of all time as well, and for good reason. It is a damn good wrestling game that is one of the reasons why the N64 is thought of in such a high manner when it comes to wrestling games because of that Aki engine. Alrighty, so those are 10 N64 games that I want to see come to the Nintendo Switch's online service. I think this is an excellent list, but if you disagree, sound off in the comments section down below. Tell me what games you want to see, unless that game is Quest 64 starring Brian, like that's my stepdad's name, and like I would never imagine him going on like a magical quest with like water attacks and fire attacks. Brian. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, be sure to like and share the video as well, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.
My name is Skoola, my Skoola, the old Skoola. You want a trip? I'll bring it to you. Fried like fucking blunt, triple second. Now I'm fucking blunts now. Me one get the honey, me one get the. I think I fucked up there. Living like a star. Something in my car. Yeah, shake it, yeah. I think it's just check it. I was eating cereal, cinnamon cereal, But that shit was making me choke. She was too sentiment. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who invents this shit? This shit is not safe. This shit is not safe. This shit by her. This shit by her is not safe. All right, let's look at I guess that dude, he's all about Switch, so you'll know what's up. Let's go back to this.
So with heavy rumors of the N64 finally coming to the Nintendo Switch's
shut up, I saw on. Let's see, new big secret.
What's up, guys? It is IRGT85. Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Well, besides AEW, we have video game news to talk about. And late last night, a big Nintendo Switch update went out, and there's a lot of things to talk about with this update. There's obviously a brand new feature that's added that has been highly requested, but there's more to this that kind of remains a mystery to me, and it's something that I kind of want to put a tinfoil hat on and explore with you guys. So if this is your first time on the channel and you enjoy video game news and reviews and crap of that nature, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like and share the video, but without any further ado, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch firmware update 13.0 and what sort of secrets it has in it. So like I said, this went up late last night on the East Coast, probably around 8 or 9 o'clock. I guess it's not that late, but it's late for me because I'm an old man. And like I said, a highly requested feature has finally been added to the Nintendo Switch, and that is Bluetooth audio support. Yes, you don't need to buy any more dongles or anything like that for your Bluetooth devices to play them on your Nintendo Switch. The Bluetooth support is now integrated into the system, but there are some limitations. So basically, headphones, earbuds, and speakers and other audio devices that connect with Bluetooth can now be paired with the Nintendo Switch family of systems for audio output. Bluetooth microphones are not supported. Up to 2 compatible wireless controllers can be connected to the system while using Bluetooth audio, and Bluetooth audio cannot be used while wireless communication is active. So obviously this is across all of the Nintendo Switch systems, including the upcoming OLED, the standard Nintendo Switch base model, which should be getting a price drop very soon, I feel, and of course the Nintendo Switch Lite. Now, Bluetooth audio is a great thing because I think most of us have a Bluetooth headset, and it would be nice to be able to use that with your Nintendo Switch instead of having to plug something in that just feels so archaic. And like I said, this is a big feature that a lot of people have wanted, but obviously there is a drawback with this, and that is the fact that Bluetooth microphones are not supported. So basically that means that when you're playing a game online that uses voice chat, you can't just use a Bluetooth headset to do it. You still have to go through the archaic ways of doing things the way Nintendo wants you to do them. And it's very strange to me. It's like, well, why not include that? Like, obviously a lot of Nintendo Switch games don't have native voice chat built into it. One of my favorite games does, Friday the 13th, of course. And I felt like voice chat really added to that experience because, well, if you're Jason, you can just terrorize people, or if you're playing the game with other people, you're having to strategize and figure out a way to eliminate Jason or escape. So I think that this would have been a nice feature, but you know what? It is what it is. It's Nintendo. I guess we should be somewhat thankful that Bluetooth audio is even now available on the Switch. But one thing I find very interesting about this is they did this via a software update for the Switch. That means that, well, the system was always capable of having Bluetooth audio and Bluetooth headsets be used on the system. Nintendo just essentially had to flip a switch, no pun intended, to allow this to happen. So it's like, why did you wait so long? Like, what was the freaking holdup here? Why wasn't this available on day one? You didn't have to change the hardware of the system or anything like that in order to include this in the update. So like, why did we have to wait so long for this? It's kind of a bizarre decision that they waited over 4 years for this to be implemented into the system. But like I said, better late than never. So now your Bluetooth headphones or earbuds can be used with your Nintendo Switch. So that is a good thing in my opinion, especially if you're playing it in handheld mode or you're traveling or something like that. I think that's a big win. Some other things were added into this as well, and the last thing we're going to talk about is kind of the big mystery that we're going to put the tinfoil hat on. But basically another feature that was added was maintain internet connection in sleep mode. Basically when this setting is enabled, systems with wired internet connections will
Hey everyone, Andre here, along with a very special guest being Adam from ArcadeHeroes.com as well as the YouTube channel, who just so happens to run their very own arcade as well, which I think made them the perfect guest for today's episode, being entirely focused on Cruisin' Blast, which we just reviewed recently on the channel. I'm a big fan, but I've only played it a few times in the arcade myself, whereas Adam, I think you're a little bit more of an expert on the arcade side of things, given the fact you run your own arcade with the Cruisin' Blast arcade machine, right?
Yes, and if I point my camera over here, you can kind of see it. You can see the distinctive curve of the machine right there.
I love that.
Yeah.
It is a very striking arcade machine, both in not just the gameplay, but also the arcade cabinet design. It really kind of catches your eye, I think. So I actually, I don't know if you saw, I actually ended up using some of your arcade footage or some of your arcade cabinet footage for my review. I'm like, hey, here's how it looked in the arcade, and here's how it looks on Switch. So yeah, It's awesome having you on the channel now, and just wanted to discuss everything about this game. I believe going by your review, you were pretty...
Hey guys, you're Mark the Geek. In this video, I'm going to be playing a little bit more of Lost in Random on the Nintendo Switch, but in TV mode this time around. I was going to show you guys a little bit of settings here. Rules, controls, there. And we're going to go ahead and start the gameplay where I'm going to start. It says to town. And it's going to let it load up. Okay, here we are, loaded up already. Now, keep in mind, I've been playing so far, like, I would say, like, almost 3 hours into this game. And honestly, I think you really game time. You can actually get here, like, in maybe, like, in less than 2 hours. But I've been spending a lot of time, like walking around, trying to see if exploring in this game is worth it or not. Also learning how to, these cars, which one to play first, which one.
Worth.
G'day, mates. What's going on? It's been a while
Diggery
since I just
dingo.
sat here and talked with you guys. There's a
Good
ton of
day,
stuff
mate.
happening right now, and it felt weird for me not
Diggery
to talk
dingo.
about it. Usually, when... The Nintendo Switch is almost 5 years old, and in that time, it's managed to sell over 90 million consoles.
No
to
way,
put
bruh.
that
Where,
into
bruh?
perspective, it's
No way,
Nintendo's second
Bruh.
best-selling
No way,
console
bruh.
of all time, just trailing the Wii. And it's looking like the Switch will not only pass the Wii, but will also pass the PlayStation 4 in total sales. So games on the Switch, yeah, they sell pretty well. Indie games like SteamWorld Dig 2 have sold 3 times more on Switch than on Steam. And yet, despite all of that, there's still a plethora of games that are nowhere to be seen on the Switch, despite so many of us Nintendo Switch players screaming down the empty halls of Nintendo headquarters, begging for these games to find their way to the console. I even reached out to Twitter and asked you guys what games you would like to see come to the Switch. I only tweeted that a couple hours ago, and instantly I knew that I had to make this video. Last time I did this, I tweeted out asking what improvements you would like to see done to the Switch, and Twitter themselves actually pinned that post to the front page of Twitter, and that's when I made that video, and here we are, just a couple months out from a brand new Switch that is actually adding a ton of things that we put in that first video I did. Now, it might be a coincidence, or maybe the fact that everyone was so engaged on that video actually saw Nintendo implement some of those changes into the new OLED console. Now, that could be true, but there's only one way to find out. Let's try again. So if you want any of the games that I talk about today to come to Switch, hit like on the video, comment down below with which of the games you do really want to see, share the video, and of course, subscribe, because so many of you watch my videos and don't do that. But there's 2 that I want to honorable mention before we get started. And this is huge. Mass Effect Trilogy. Not enough people were tweeting this at me, probably because we just had a Mass Effect Trilogy remaster released on consoles and PC, and maybe a lot of people are satisfied with that, but I'm not. I haven't played those, and I want them portable. To this day, I still haven't seen a trilogy to this magnitude have your save file carry over from the first game all the way to the third, with your choices affecting the progression and the outcome of all the games. Not to mention that they are incredibly fun and in-depth RPGs that have you exploring multiple planets and fleshing out a huge cast of quirky and unique characters. Oh, and of course, the space shooting bang bang gameplay is pretty fun too. It doesn't have to be the remastered trilogy even. I'll take ports of the original games. That's fine. Weirdly, there were people asking for Warzone. I say it's weird because no. As someone who plays the game on PC, it's a mess. That's fun to play, but there's no way they could figure out cramming that 150 gig beast onto the console. It's just not happening. It does make sense though, a free battle royale shooter game on the Switch. I mean, we have Fortnite, we have Apex, but I mean, even look at Apex. Ooh, a little rough. But I mention this because I do agree that some kind of Call of Duty should come to Switch. And not necessarily because I have any interest in playing it, but because Call of Duty, love it or hate it, is one of the largest gaming franchises in the world. And we've had a ton of Call of Duty games released on Nintendo's consoles before, from the DS to the Wii. And one thing the Switch really is lacking in is first-person shooters. And again, it's not for me at all. If a million more little grubby kids want to get their hands on Switch because they can play Call of Duty now, fine. It all adds to the Switch's success and its sales, and it all in some way trickles down and leads to me finally getting Bayonetta 3. Bring all the Call of Duties over. I won't play them, but it's probably a good idea. Unlike literally every other game in this list, this next game we were promised over a year ago, and it's been nowhere to be seen. Genshin Impact. Hey! You just stepped on me. Well, maybe if you weren't lying on the floor every time I was trying to make a YouTube video, I wouldn't keep stepping on you. And are you even listening to me? Huh? Well, no. See, my Raycons, they're noise isolating, so I can barely hear what you're saying. I have Foo Fighters. I'm listening to Foo Fighters. Oh, sweet. Can I get a pair of those Raycons? Sure. Nah. You can get your own pair by going to buyraycon.com/beatemups. To get 15%. To get 15% off, yeah. Raycons are stylish, they sound great, and somehow start at half the price of other premium audio brands. They have a 32-hour battery life, they come with a bunch of different sized gel tips to fit whatever kind of ear hole you have, and they're super comfortable. I take mine on a walk every single day, but I also use them in my home gym and when I'm just tidying up around the house. They don't fall out of your head no matter what you do, so they're perfect for just about everything. Look, I know most of you have Raycons already. It's 2021. Who doesn't? But if you somehow still haven't clicked the link in the description or gone to buyraycon.com/beatemups and claimed 15% off a pair of Raycons, please consider doing so, as it really helps support my channel, and Raycon sponsors me every month and we want to keep them coming back. It's also completely risk-free because Raycon offers a 45-day happiness guarantee. So is this just the new thing? You lying on the floor waiting to do the sponsor read every video? Until we get bored of it and start doing something different. Yeah, probably. Right, of course. Where was I? Oh yeah, Genshin Impact. So initially when this game was revealed, it was revealed to be a Breath of the Wild clone. The reason why they did this is because the game was planned to be on the way for Switch. But then as the weeks and months progressed, and after I made my video calling it a clone of Breath of the Wild, which is what it looked like at the time, they started releasing a ton more trailers and a bunch of extra gameplay that really showcased that while this game was very clearly inspired by Breath of the Wild, something the creators of the game even said that they took a lot of elements from Breath of the Wild but expanded on that base in their own way, with one of the biggest differences being the combat and the gacha system of having several playable characters that you have to unlock with essentially loot crates. Suddenly, the focus seemed to shift to a PC and PlayStation release, and the Nintendo version kind of just disappeared. And even if you go on Wikipedia, the Nintendo Switch Switch port still just says TBA. And it's a very big shame because the game is great. When it initially released, I picked it up on PC to check it out. I even streamed it on Twitch. Visually, it is gorgeous. And the combat is very real-time action, hack and slashy, beat 'em up combat, and I loved it. I was even getting into playing along with the gacha system, but at the time, knowing that a Switch port, or thinking that a Switch port was on the horizon, I didn't want to invest any money into it in case there wasn't cross-play or cross-save features, and decided to put it down in the meantime, because I was excited to play it portably on my Switch. It's a game that suits Switch very well, and it's a game that's supposed to be coming to the platform, but we have no idea when. This next one is purely for you, Twitter world, because The Sims. I love The Sims, don't get me wrong. I have just never really been keen on playing The Sims on a console. But it's not totally undoable. We had The Sims games being released on GameCube, and to be fair, I played the heck out of some GameCube Sims. And with games like Animal Crossing so clearly doing insane numbers on the Switch, it would be crazy to think that The Sims, which is in a very similar family of genre, wouldn't also do incredibly well. And since it's an EA property, and you know, one thing about EA is that they love to make money, but on the other hand, I'd probably get really addicted to it, so probably best off we don't do that one. The next one might be about the only one I'm confident is going to happen, and that's the Metroid Prime Trilogy. We are all desperately waiting for Metroid Prime 4 to release on the console, so in the meantime, we should be able to replay the first 3 games on the console. I mean, we've had the time to do it. On top of fans of the series wanting to replay the games, it's a great chance to get people caught up to speed. I have had a theory for a long time that game, the Trilogy pack, is ready to go, and Nintendo is just timing the release once they know when the 4th game is coming out. That's just my theory, but I do think it's gonna happen. Ports of the 360 and PlayStation 3 era. The reason why I did this is because we could go down this avenue for videos and videos and videos. It would literally never end. But just to mention a few, and you can let me know yours down below, the Batman Arkham series was heavily tweeted at me in that post, and I agree, those games would be perfect on Switch. But if I could squeeze a suggestion in, I just made my No More Heroes 3 video, and I was talking about Lollipop Chainsaw and Shadows of the Damned, and I feel like those fast-paced hack and slash and third-person shooter games with tons of personality and color would just suit the Switch so well. I could go on and on and on about games in that era, so just leave them down below and we'll talk. Fallout. I think the only thing Skyrim hasn't been ported to at this point is toasters. Like, it's everywhere, even the Switch. We even had the weird Skyrim spin-off mobile game on Switch. On top of that, Bethesda went out of their way to port Doom to the console, and yet their other largest franchise, Fallout, has been nowhere to be seen. Having a game like Skyrim on Switch tells us that Fallout 4, their recent Fallout game, not counting Fallout 76, which we won't, Fallout 4 could probably, I would say definitely run on the console just fine. But even if you want to come up with some reason why not, you still have a plethora of Fallout games you could bring over. New Vegas is the one that everyone would want. It's situations like that that I really don't understand, because it really is as easy as, and then I think right now one of the biggest, newest, hottest releases that I am baffled that didn't come to the Switch, Death's Door. Reason being, it looks like such the perfect Switch game. I am so confident that at some point this bad boy has to get ported to the Switch. So I'm holding out on playing it until I can get my hands on the portable version of it. As someone who just put Hades into their top 10 games of all time, you can see why I can't wait to get my hands on this one, and I'm about to break down at any minute and just play it on Xbox. Oh, I'm sorry, did someone just say Xbox? Game Pass. I think the time for this to have happened has come and gone, but for the longest time, it looked like Xbox might be bringing a lot of their services, including Game Pass, to the Switch. For a while there, Xbox really, and I guess still, were really trying to push themselves as more of a game service than a game console, essentially trying to move away from people needing to have an Xbox to play their games. Mostly because, well, the Xbox One didn't sell very well, and they realized that with Game Pass, they could still make a lot of money off of their software. So about 2 years ago, when the Switch was blowing up and everyone realized it was the new hotness, Xbox started actually putting a lot of their games on the console. Like we saw both Ori's launching on Switch. It didn't seem too unlikely that they might take their Game Pass service and put it somewhere else, like the Switch. Now, there's a lot of games on Game Pass that obviously wouldn't play on the Switch, like Gears of War 5, for example. It would be a selection of Game Pass's titles that would play on the Switch and work well on the Switch. I still don't think this would be a bad idea, but the Xbox Series X has actually sold incredibly well. In fact, it was their best-selling console at launch of all time. Now with Halo releasing on the console at Christmas, I don't know if it's such a good idea anymore for Xbox to take that service and put it on a console that's already sold almost 100 million units. So this one is probably the most unlikely at this point. However, money talks, I guess. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what I'm about to say. GTA 5, or really any GTA games. If you don't know what this is, I made a whole video about it. But when I got my really beastie A&EO, the first thing I did was download and finish GTA 5, and it was amazing. So I still don't know why they never made the effort to port it to Switch. Rockstar have even made the effort to port GTA to everything else other than Switch, even the current generation of consoles just released. They're actually making a ton of money from the online part of GTA 2. I gotta imagine bringing that portable and putting the online in players' hands while they're on the toilet would just encourage even more microtransactions and sales for them. There is actually a really strong rumor right now that Rockstar are remaking the 3 PlayStation 2 GTA games, and they're gonna be bringing those to Switch as well as other platforms. So we might actually finally get some sort of GTA on Switch. And speaking of Rockstar, I mean, we could go down the list of all of their games. Why not bring Bully to the Switch? Or of course, my favorite, Red Dead Redemption. I know I could go and play them on Xbox in 4K. Look around. Does it look like I can? Zelda. The main one being Wind Waker. I mean, Wind Waker and the Switch, they just have the same bubbly, light personality and seem to just go hand in hand with each other. But really, you could do any or all of the Zelda ports. I mean, we're talking the Zelda 3DS remakes of Ocarina and Majora's Mask. Take the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD from the Wii U, bundle those and sell them on the console. You already have Skyward Sword HD now, so that would make a complete little family. The Twitter replies were filled with people wanting old school Pokemon games, people wanting F-Zeros and your mothers. A massive virtual console umbrella in general would be really cool, but I still have hesitations with releasing full virtual console to players on a system. I personally feel like that's what did the Wii U in, because the only reason anyone bought a Wii U was for virtual console, and that was great to make Nintendo a little bit of extra scratch, but it hurt literally everything else. It hurt the economy of the console, it hurt the indies, it hurt the big budget titles, it hurt the third-party developers, it hurt the people investing on making ports for the console. People were literally only investing in buying virtual console games. And I have a massive argument that the indie scene is what has helped the Switch succeed. I do agree that Nintendo should bring back a lot of these games, but I think sparingly is the right choice. This is the one that gave me the whole idea for this video. It's the reason why I sent that tweet out in the first place, because I've been playing this game a lot over the last year or so, and I don't understand why it's not on Switch. Pokemon Online, the card game. We have all these free games on Switch that do well, but the free card games that are really popular online, games like Hearthstone, haven't found their way to Switch. How? The fact that Hearthstone isn't on Switch has always bugged me, but honestly, I've moved on from that game, and I moved into the Pokemon Online game because it's not an insane grind. If you don't know, I've been buying just a ton of Pokemon cards and unboxing them on Twitch. It was Kim and I, we had a fantastic time with everyone, and then in each pack you get a code card, you scan that into your Pokemon Online game, and you get a free pack of cards in the game that you can open or trade for other cards. Back to my point, It's Pokemon. This is a game that easily could be given touch controls and put on the system, and you'd have a free-to-play Pokemon game on the console. My favorite thing about the online Pokemon game is that there's no microtransactions, so you can let kids play it, and there's literally no way they can use your credit card and spend money. It's all free. The only way you can spend money is, as I said, buying real-life Pokemon cards and getting the code cards. So if Nintendo and the Pokemon Company decided to put this app onto the Switch, it would encourage people to go out and buy the cards from the card games, which again benefits the Pokemon Company and helps grow the franchise even more than it already is the #1 franchise in the world. Then I could battle my little Pokemons in bed rather than having to sit at the computer and get a bad back every time. I mean, I hate to keep beating a dead horse. They've released Persona Strikers, which is a sequel story-wise, not gameplay-wise, from this game. And yet people that haven't played it or can't play it because they don't have a PlayStation don't really understand what's going on. I mean, the way the game plays, the visuals, the way the game is built, it's perfect for the Switch. Lo-fi, sitting by the window while it's raining outside vibe of a game. So to have it handheld and sit in your bed or your couch, it just makes so much sense. The only thing I can assume why this game hasn't yet been ported to the Switch, even longer than we've been waiting for Metroid Prime 4, we've been waiting for Shin Megami Tensei 5. That was revealed early 2017. It's by far the longest running game that we've been waiting for to release on Switch. And I'm not even sure how they tie in together. The comment section will probably let me know. I believe Shin Megami Tensei was first, and then Persona ended up being a spin-off series, which I think, don't hate me fans, garnered more popularity somewhere down the line and became the bigger franchise. I feel like that if they were to start releasing Persona 5, 4, 3, it might take wind out of the sails of this up-and-coming Shin Megami game that everyone has been waiting for 5 years, so it can do as well as possible. I am hopeful that once SMT5 releases and it does well, we can start seeing the Persona series migrate over to the console as well. I know there's more. You can leave them down below. Just go nuts, go insane, blow up the comments. I mean, I talked about Lollipop Chainsaw, like how random. But yeah, if you want any of these games to actually come to the console, hey, maybe we can make it happen again. I mean, that last video got like over 1 million views. I really do think it had an impact. I'd love to have that happen again. It's as easy as liking the video and helping it get shared out in the algorithms. But if you haven't subscribed or commented down below, do that. And then the final thing, which is huge, share the video. I never asked for that. It's a weird thing to ask for, but it might help you get your favorite game on the console, even if it's a tweet or a Facebook post. Does anyone still use Facebook?
Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and I am back with Reggie.
How's it going?
No, that's not right. It's been a while.
One more time.
Okay.
Oh, gee. Well, what happened, man?
I guess we are back. Time for some pickups. I almost didn't know what to say there. It's been so long.
I know, right?
All right, let's take a look. All right, dude, it's been quite a year, and it's been way too long since you've been in this game room. It's been since February of 2020. Can you believe that?
I know. Time goes by so fast, man. It's like,
I know.
Seriously.
I know. I definitely missed you in this room. What have you been up to?
Man, basically just doing the YouTube thing and preparing some other things, keeping busy, trying to stay safe and all that stuff. Just kind of just staying busy with like just stuff like that,
Yeah.
It seems like it's not that long, but then time goes by so fast, and next thing you know, like, whoa, okay, what's going on?
I know.
But not really much.
Well, we have a bunch of pickups to show you in this. I think we've each got 15 or so.
15 each, just like we usually do. And Jason, who goes first?
Well, you are the guest, so why don't you go first? And I haven't seen what he brought, and he hasn't seen what I brought, so this is going to be interesting. So.
All right, so
curious what you've been up to for the last year.
Where'd it go here? I always got to start off with this game. I got a new version of it.
Nice.
Xeno Crisis for Vita. I love this game.
Yep.
I want it for every system. And
you beat that game, right?
I did. I got the bad ending though. And to get the good ending, you got to play the game proper by not continuing. It's rough, but it can be done.
Yeah.
I just got to get better at it, but. This game is just so well done, and I'm so happy it got created because they did a Kickstarter for this, and they made like way more than they wanted on it, so they were able to do a lot more things with this.
Yeah, it's shown up on a bunch of systems now, and whether it's old or new or whatever, so it's cool to see that it just, no matter where you want to play it, you get to play it. So it's an awesome game. I don't know if I have the Vita version. So
the Vita version is probably like the rarest one to get because I think East
Asia
Soft did it, and they did like a really limited run on it. But still. Very good game. Definitely a must-have. Easy to access. You get it on PS4, Switch.
Yeah.
Download it for Vita if you can't get the physical version.
You and I did a Let's Play.
We did.
A long time ago.
That's right, yeah. We barely got past the first level, I think. But it was fun.
All right, for me, I'm going to stick with Vita as well. I didn't plan this. Another East Asia Soft release as well. Although I picked this one up at Pink Gorilla. I just walked in there and happened to be there. Brand new. Yeah, so it's Demon's Tier Plus, the limited edition of this. Again, another brand new Vita game. This is I haven't played a ton of it yet, but I believe it's kind of like a roguelike twin stick shooter, based game. Have you played this at all?
I have it, but I have not played it yet. It looks pretty good, man. I just,
so many games, a little time.
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't got to it yet, but
I love that box too. Like it's embossed in there, so they always do good work on these.
It's always cool to kind of just randomly go to the store and find something like that. Like, whoa, what is this? So.
Yeah, I know. I was exactly in this Demon's Tier. So be curious to know in the comments if you played it and you like it, because I'm probably showing you gameplay footage right now, but I haven't played it that much yet. So
okay,
yeah.
That cover is sick, though.
It is, isn't it?
All right, next game here is Monstrum for the PS4, also available for the Switch. Now, basically, this is a horror game. At least I feel like it's a horror game. If you guys play games like Dead by Daylight, where you pretty much play as 4 survivors going against a killer, well, this game is kind of like if that game was offline. So basically, you play as a person. You're always in a random map, so the map is always different, and there's a killer stalking you, trying to kill you. Now, there's 3 killers that I know of, and you never know who the killer is until you see them. So you have to be very quiet going down the corridors of this ship that you're in, and there's these cameras, and if the cameras see you, they alert the monster to where you're at. Now, you could alert the monster and then hide to see who it is, but you gotta get good at it. Each monster stalks you differently, and it's pretty scary. I mean, it's like that one on the cover. He's the one that just comes at you hardcore. Other ones like tactically, kind of just stalk you and just get you at the right moment. It's pretty trippy. So
I have never heard of this game.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. It really came out of nowhere, and it's definitely something that I think people should try out. So,
okay. You're back, and you're already showing me games I haven't seen before. So this is great. This is great. All right. Next up for me, probably a game you have heard of before. I got a PlayStation 5.
Wow.
Everyone's telling me Demon's Souls. You know, over the years, everyone's asked me if I played the Demon Souls or, you know, the Souls series, and the answer is always no, primarily because I know that my tolerance for really, really difficult games like that, I've got so much other stuff. I just don't know if I can dedicate the time to learn. So, but that said, I was like, okay, I got a new console. There's a new version of Demon Souls. Let's pick it up. It's gorgeous, and I'm not getting very far yet.
Yeah. It's a tough one, man. It takes a while to get into. You know what's crazy? The original game on the PS3, they still play it online. They have like a fan server for it that you have to like change some settings on your PS3 to access, and people are still hardcore playing the PS3 version.
You know, it's cool because, and you obviously if you play this game, you know that you know, when people die, or I'm not sure how it is, but basically you can leave notes on the level. And I find those incredibly helpful. If it says, "Hey, by the way, you turn this corner, and you're going to need to to prepare yourself," or like this, one of them is like, "You're get ready to start doing some rolling, you know, some dodging and stuff like that." So, not very far in the game, as you guys can tell by the footage here, but I'm excited to play it more on the new system. So, yeah,
very cool, man. All right, people like racing games. Hopefully, you guys do. I know you do.
I do.
This game is very similar to Outrun. This is Midnight Run by Konami for PlayStation. So pretty much when I played this game, it's an arcade racing game. Okay. It's like Outrun, but it's like racing at night.
And that's the PAL version there or something,
This is the PAL version, but you get the Japanese version as well. Either one. There's English in both of them.
Never heard of this either.
You don't really need to have too many options, but it's a really fun game. If you like games like Outrun, the racing is fun. I like that it's at nighttime, the music, and you have I guess it's like your girlfriend in the car with you, and she's like kind of like telling you stuff like turn here and stuff like that. It's pretty hilarious. It's like really like intense and everything.
Is she kind of calling it out almost like a rally game where she's like, hard right, hard left, stuff like that?
Kind of like that, yeah, I would say. Not extreme like the girlfriend in heart attack mode on Outrun, like beating on you.
Who beats on you, or gives you hearts,
But it was a totally hidden game. I found that by chance, and I couldn't believe I didn't know about it.
Konami too.
By Konami, yeah. The game didn't do well in arcades, but they ported it to PlayStation early in the life cycle, and I guess it still didn't do well. So they kind of like just abandoned the franchise. But I think it's a solid game.
Okay. All right. Next up for me, I'm going to stick with the PlayStation 5 because that's what I'm playing right now.
Oh,
including
man.
Returnal. So now you don't have a PS5 yet, correct? As of the making of this video. So this is one of the exclusives, I believe. It might be on PC, I'm not sure. This is by House Mark. In the past I've mispronounced their name as Marquis, but it's Mark. They do Nex Machina, they do Alienation, a bunch of twin stick shooters.
Alienation, okay.
Yeah. So this is a not twin stick shooter. It's a third person shooter. It's roguelike in that every time you die, the level is sort of randomized, procedurally generated. Notoriously difficult game, and so far, actually, it's pretty cool. So you basically are an astronaut that goes down on this planet. You crash land on it. And the weird thing is, in your first playthrough, you find yourself dead. So she walks up to a dead person on the ground and realizes she's already been there. And this is how many lives that she's kind of in this cycle. So every time you die, you come back, same spot. And you're trying to kind of like learn the story, but also upgrade your character and weapons and things like that. The thing about this game, though, is that it doesn't have quick saves, which means that it doesn't let you save all the time. Now, as of the making of this video, there isn't the patch yet to give people that version. So I'm kind of holding back a little bit on this game because, I play a lot of things on the PlayStation 5. I can't just dedicate it to just one game.
Right.
So that's kind of been a little bit of a criticism of this, is that, for instance, you could put the PlayStation 5 in sleep mode or rest mode and then get a system update and lose all your progress, which sucks. Or, like in people who have multiple people in the house, you want to play Returnal for a while, save your game, and then let your kids play. You can't do that.
That's annoying. They need to fix that immediately.
Yeah, so I guess there's a patch coming. I mean, some people are into that. That's a little bit more hardcore than I think for me. Personally, I'd like to be able to save it every once in a while, do a quick save here and there. So, but so far the game is beautiful. It seems like it's pretty interesting, so I can't wait to figure out what the story is all about, why she's stuck in this loop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Eventually, when I get a PS5, I may look at that one.
Yeah. You're not in any hurry to get one, I assume.
No.
I know, with the backlog, it's like, actually, to be honest, like, it's really nice that the PlayStation 5 plays PlayStation 4 games.
Yeah, that's a good feature with it. I'm just thinking that they're going to come out with a Pro soon.
Yeah.
Not soon. It could be a couple years, but I'm just willing to wait because I don't want to, like, slog on about it, but I just feel like I could wait for the system.
When you haven't played it, later after this video, I do want you to play the Astrobot game because that'll show you why the controller is so cool. All so it won't make you want to necessarily buy one, but it is pretty cool.
Right on. Next game, you've probably seen this game before.
Played and beat it, yes.
This would have been on a pickups video we did last year.
Yeah.
If the whole thing didn't happen with COVID. But this is Resident Evil 3, the remake, and I wanted to show this one because I was looking forward to this game ever since they announced it, and dang, dude, I was really pumped up to talk about this one, but then I was like, this.
You didn't like it? I liked it.
I felt it was half measures. I felt they could have did a better job with it. I mean, the thing about the game, I do like it, but I'll choose the original over this any day because of the options in the original. But this one's kind of fun, but just not as good as the original, unfortunately. Now, I do like the parts where you meet Nemesis. I just wish that they weren't all scripted. You want them to kind of surprise you. In the original game, Nemesis would come out of nowhere and attack you if you were standing around too long, or just like it was terrifying.
Well, that's gonna take me to the next game I talk about.
But anyways, Resident Evil 3, I think it's a solid, fun game, just like for a little while. It's not that long. It's more action oriented.
It is pretty short.
So there's that. But I definitely choose the original. But
well, then I'm going to be really curious to talk to you about Resident Evil 8 Village.
Okay.
So you did play this, right?
I actually played it on PC and beat it.
Okay. And so a couple things about this. So one, you mentioned the fact that, randomly stalking you. Well, this is a game that definitely Mistress D or whatever, I forget what her name is. Lady D.
Dimitris, I can't remember her name.
She stalks you around her mansion. And actually, I found that to be really fun. Yeah, because it's so stressful. But it also reminded me that I actually prefer the third-person Resident Evil games than the first-person.
Me too.
I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's maybe that these are a little bit too stressful or something about them. But
well, okay, so I did like the game, but I don't really feel like it's a true Resident Evil game. And I'm not trying to go all into it. I did like the part in the beginning where you're dealing with her. I just felt like it was kind of not easy or whatever like that, but it was pretty straightforward what you need to do. There's no mystery to it. So obviously you want to avoid her, which is pretty terrifying because she just walks around with the claws and they're long as hell. And she just swoops in.
I do like how on the map it tells you whether or not you found everything based on the color of the room, which that is really helpful to decide, like if you're stuck, well, it's going to be pretty obvious. You need to go to these rooms and basically find everything, whether it's a crystal that falls from the ceiling or something like that. So, my
favorite part in that game is, I think, when you get to the factory. I think that was the best part for me.
We won't do any spoilers because I haven't finished it yet. That's okay.
I had no idea.
That's okay. But also other people, it's fairly new too. But there's definitely different sections of the village to go to. I always call her Lady. Is it Lady or Mistress D or whatever her name is?
Lady Dimitris.
She's the first section of the village. Well,
the first one where the gameplay actually really starts.
Where you're kind of trapped in there to try to figure out. Beautiful game though. I will say it definitely looks next gen. It looks beautiful on the PS5, so I'm sure it looked good on the PC.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Some of you guys may or may not know, Rainbow Islands is one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh, okay.
And I got Rainbow Islands on NES in box. I just had to get it, but I was really looking for the PAL version, which is pretty different, made by a different publisher. This one's made by Ocean, and this one looks better, but it doesn't play as good as this one. But I had to get them because I love these games.
Different games.
They're different.
Just publishing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're very different. But this one is like the better version though. But this one's like kind of like.
I like that cover though. It's cool.
And it gives the game its original title. It's actually Bubble Bobble 2. But
I think this two-person band. I think she's a guitarist and singer, and he's.
It's a solid, fun event.
When you were like console.
Definitely, all right. Messed up too, and I was like, dude, this is it. was on the PS3
and
2000, so it's like, wow.
a program and they can create something. So it's pretty cool.
Right on, man. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, this game.
Get them dreams, like, because they don't necessarily know. So this was also like I was playing F-Zero style racing game. There's platforming games in there. There's shoot 'em ups. There's every type of game in there, and they're all really varied. There's also like I was playing a kind of like a hack and slash third person game. So a lot of variety in this thing. It seems like a very powerful program. So this would be something that I think if you are a parent with a young kid who's like, I want to make video games when I grow up, get them dreams. Like, because they don't necessarily have to know how to program and they can create something. So it's pretty cool.
Right on, man. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, this game just came out. This is Wonder Boy, Asha, and Monster World. It's called Monster World 4, but I guess they changed the name up a little bit, so I have to make sure I was saying it right. So if you haven't played these games, the Wonder Boy games before, they are platform games, adventure platform games with kind of like RPG elements to them. This one reminds me of kind of like Zelda Adventures of Link in a way. Very colorful, very good. You buy this game, just so.
Wow. But it also has my favorite game.
These games are scary. Not standing, you get tired. They don't. Japanese exclusive.
Or the
Xbox One.
It's one of those where I do like having these kind of collections. Like, well, since we're kind of making this,
like a weird sound effect,
and then they add it. So that kind of like
just man, I love the Fear series. I would love for them to make another one, but they kind of like I think they kind of concluded it with this one, so I wanted to go all out for it. Definitely something pretty cool to have.
You know, that would be when you talk about games that you wouldn't mind getting like HD remastered, you know, for modern consoles or something like that. The Fear series is one of those. It would be cool to go back and replay.
Oh,
know, with new HD textures and stuff like that. Because I remember, I think I played it on the 360 or the PS3. I forget which one, but I remember it having some performance issues. Like it had some slowdown.
PS3
stuff.
Definitely had performance. Yeah.
And that type of stuff goes away when they port a lot of these to like the PS5 and the Xbox One, so or Xbox Series X. So, wow, and it's PEGI 18, so this is not released in the US probably.
Not the collector's edition. The game was.
Yeah, sure.
But another thing about Fear 3, just want to throw this in there. There's a multiplayer mode in there called F and Run.
Okay.
And basically, you guys, John Carpenter, obviously, some of you guys are familiar with his films like The Fog and everything like that.
Oh, sure.
Well, he kind of like did some inspiration for this game. He worked on the game a little bit too. And this mode is called F and Run, where pretty much you can have up to 4 friends team up with you, and you have to like run and kill soldiers in front of you, obviously. But the thing is, while you're running, it's because there's a fog chasing you. And it's a fog of souls. It is so eerie and scary when that thing is chasing you, man. It's like, it's so tense. And I'm trying to get my buddies Joel and John to play with me, but they're too scared to play it. And they said, nah, we can't do it, Reggie. Yeah, so they're going to get mad at me.
They're going to love it. Yeah, you called them out on this.
But it's really tense. And it's a lot of fun. And it's just a really fun mode that a lot of people don't know it exists or haven't played on the system.
I
so
did not know
I kind of
that.
talked about it when we were doing like the PlayStation videos about the network and everything, letting everybody know about this game. Definitely got to play it. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully I get some more people online playing it because I love that mode.
Wow, that's crazy, dude! Another pickups video in the bank.
Yeah, it's been a while, but we're back. So
yeah, and actually, another one. You're not gonna have to wait too long for the next one because we're gonna shoot that one sooner than you expect. So,
yep.
Dude, it's so awesome to have you in the game. Was it weird walking in here?
Dude, it felt like not like a time capsule, but it felt like it was a while. Like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely it's nice to have the feeling that the world's starting to kind of come back.
Yeah,
definitely. You know what I mean? So, dude, thanks so much for being on here. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Radical Reggie, on that, just Radical Reggie, Media Glitch, all that good stuff. Find me on those channels.
Yeah,
so.
Awesome. All right, thanks guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.
No woman, no cry. Yeah. Do you remember when I smoked the fat dab? No woman, no cry. Yeah.
Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and I am back again with Kinsey.
And today we're here to talk about some great games for your Nintendo Switch that are under $20.
Alright, let's take a look. All right, so I'm going to go first, and the first game that I want to talk about, because I think it's so awesome, is Immortal Redneck. Have you heard of this game?
I have not, but I am intrigued.
It is a really weird game, but it's pretty awesome. So basically, this is a first-person shooter set in Egypt, and it has a lot of things that are really cool about it. For one, it's very old-school shooter. So we're talking like Quake, Doom, Serious Sam, those kind of games where you basically just run around shooting everything. I don't think there's any plot whatsoever, at least certainly no plot I've ran into, and it doesn't really matter. What's cool about this game though is that it is roguelike in that it is randomly generated every single time you play.
That's pretty sweet.
So it's a first-person shooter that's randomized like that. And it's set in Egypt, and there's a bunch of really cool things about it. The number one thing for me, when I hear randomly generated, that can either be a really great thing, or it can be something that is kind of not so great. This lands safely in the awesome category. Like, you can really tell that the developers knew how to mix up how those levels are built. So not only just in like what they place in there, but also the verticality of it. There's some levels that are incredibly deep. There's some of them that are big. And essentially what happens is that you walk into a room and you're locked in there until you take out all the enemy.
Oh, that's cool.
And what's great too, because it's randomized, you think, well, how am I going to get through this thing without getting lost? The mini map is always showing you where like the next door is. So it's a fantastic game, really well designed. Also too, it's very much like an RPG and very roguelike in that if you die, which you will always die, you have coins to spend to upgrade your skill tree. And so even when you're dying a lot, you're still progressing because you're still upgrading your character. There's also other characters that have special abilities that you can unlock. One little tip for people though that I highly recommend is try to get double jump as soon as possible, because the main goal in this game is to try to get to the top of the pyramid. And so you are always trying to go up, and so having double jump unlocked as soon as possible will help you greatly.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. It also has motion controls. I didn't really play around with those too much, but I know people were really excited about that, especially people who are not necessarily good with the thumbsticks on a shooter. You can use motion controls, so pretty cool.
That's awesome. So it's not roguelike in the sense that it has permadeath?
No, it's the opposite of permanent.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's the die a lot?
It's the die a lot. Yes, you'll progress by dying in this game.
Sweet.
But I've put a ton of time into it, and it's very addictive.
And for my first game, I'm picking Battle Chef Brigade. This game, like, kind of came out of nowhere for me. I know it kind of blew up on the internet, but it's such, like, a cool thought. Like, I think IGN put it that it's, like, the plot is Iron Chef meets Tolkien. I know, right?
Weird.
That won me over. I was like, I need to play this game. So you play as Mina. She comes from a small town working in her family's restaurant, but she's got bigger dreams. She's going to go off and try to join the Battle Chef Brigade. And to get there, you have to go through a number of challenges in like this capital city place. And it has kind of visual novel aspects. It has some like daily puzzles that you can do. It has platforming and like action combat. But in the end, it's really just a match 3 game.
Really?
Yeah.
I love match 3 games.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to them.
When you break it down, that's kind of what this is.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because you use flavor crystals to flavor and make your dishes. And all those really are is you have like the green ones resemble earth flavor, water, fire, things like that. And you can start to make more complex dishes. And the more kind of ingredients you put in, like the more complicated your dish gets, it'll level up, the more points you'll earn. But what I think is really cool about this game is when you do a challenge, you start in the kitchen, it's very Iron Chef. They're like, the people are here to battle it out.
Oh,
it's
really?
Very like ostentatious and like
getting the audience hyped up.
Yeah, it's very much like that. You have like all the like contestants have nicknames. You're the Iron Stomach.
Okay.
So it's very like Iron Chef. But once the match starts, you have to go outside then and gather your ingredients, which is really cool.
Is that match 3 or?
Nope, that is.
Oh, okay.
Platforming action combat.
I see. Okay.
And it's so fun and. You kind of have to weigh your odds because all the challenges are timed. So you can, the more difficult enemies yield better ingredients, but they also take longer to kill, and you might die in the process. So you have to decide, am I just gonna like gather some berries real quick and run back in and cook? So I really like how you have to prioritize your time, and do you want to take that risk to make a better dish?
Okay.
And so once you get all your ingredients back in the kitchen, you can add them together, do the match 3, and you have to present it to the judge. And of course, all the judges have different flavor profiles. So there's always the secret ingredient, just like in Iron Chef. But then the judges will be like, you know, I really like spicy dishes. So then you're like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta make a dragon dish, and it's gotta be spicy.
Okay.
But there's so much going on, and the writing's great. It has kind of a Miyazaki-ish kind of art style. Looks very hand-drawn. All the backgrounds, I think, are hand-drawn. And it's beautiful. I love it, actually.
Okay. Well, it's funny you mentioned hand-drawn, because the next game I want to talk about, actually, is very hand-drawn. Have you played the Banner Saga yet?
I've seen so much about it. It looks beautiful.
It is. So, one of the things, I didn't realize this until I was doing some research. So the Banner Saga is an epic RPG. It's part of a trilogy, and as a matter of fact, depending on when you watch this video, either the third one will be out or is coming out. So, but here's the thing, though: it's developed by people from BioWare.
Oh.
That's why it's so quality.
Hold the phone.
Yes. Yeah. So ex-BioWare employees left there. Obviously, did a Kickstarter, and that's where the first Banner Saga came out of. And the graphics, as you guys are seeing on the screen here, are absolutely gorgeous, hand-drawn. Basically, like I mentioned, it's part of an epic trilogy. So what's nice is that each game is not too long. They're about 10 to 12, maybe 15 hours. And like I said, hand-drawn, excellent story and writing. Laugh out loud. This is one of those games, too, where depending on what you choose, so you're going to choose how the story progresses. You're gonna have to make moral decisions about who you keep, who lives, who dies, and sometimes it's rough, but again, it carries through the game all the way, supposedly till the third game.
That's cool.
It is very cool, very well written, and then basically the way it works is that it's kind of two games where you are in the story-driven part where your clan is traveling through the countryside and running into people, running into enemies, running into friends and foes. And then it goes into a isometric tactical turn-based combat system. And that is also really well thought out as well. So you can tell that these developers played a lot of these type of games. Those graphics are also hand-drawn. Multiple difficulty levels. I want to mention that because this game is brutal.
Oh.
It's tough. And I played a lot of these games, and initially I was dying a lot because you really have to think through combat. You have to plan, you have to know exactly whatever all the stats are. It's very cool. I absolutely love this game. So looking forward to playing the second and third one. And I know that those are coming to the Switch as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a series I've had my eye on for a while. I think it's been on my Steam wish list for like way too long, and I don't really play on Steam, so Switch, that should be where it's at.
It is. It's nice to have it on the go, for sure.
And my next game is actually one that, if you follow me on any sort of social media, I won't shut up about it. You know. But and it finally came to Switch, so you know what? Now it qualifies for this video. Woohoo! And that is Night in the Woods. It's kind of a hard game to categorize because it's not a walking simulator. It's not really a point-and-click adventure game. It's kind of somewhere in between. But it has so many secrets to discover that it's like way more than meets the eye. And when you get down to it, it's a 2D action platformer. But what's really cool is it's just like small-town America, but there's something sinister happening. And you don't quite know what it is yet. You think it might just be all you. But the premise is that you come home from college because you drop out and you're kind of having that like early 20s existential crisis. And you came back to your hometown, your friends all have jobs and moved on with their lives, and you're like, I'm back! And at first...
Ready to party.
Yeah. And at first, that's exactly what it is. You go to the woods, and you drink, and you make a fool of yourself because you see your ex-boyfriend. This is very relatable, because, I mean, I think we've all had kind of those moments in our lives. And the dialogue is so good. It's written super conversational, so I had a smile on my face like the whole game. And it doesn't just have, you know, the adventure and like story elements. It does break up gameplay pretty good. Like there, you get the old band back together, so there's a rhythm game.
Oh, actually, band. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you play bass. Not great, but it's funny. First band practice, they're like, "We have your old bass," and you're like, "What? I don't know how to play." And they're like, "You got it. It's fine. It's totally fine." But it also deals with mental illness in a really cool way, because you kind of see something's going off with the main character, but you're not quite sure what it is yet. But you also get to play within her dreams.
So interesting how a lot of games recently are really starting to dig a little bit deeper into kind of situations that, you know, normally aren't explored in games.
Yeah, and this does it in a really beautiful way.
Yeah.
Where it's not like, oh, well, something's wrong because May is depressed. Like, it doesn't outwardly say it. So it does it in such a beautiful, artistic way. It still keeps it kind of lighthearted and funny most of the time. Right. It gets a little dark. But it's just such a fantastic game. And I mean, I originally played this game over a year ago. And I still won't shut up about it. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a game worth checking out.
Okay. Well, next up for me is a game that's very different than that. But it's fantastic, and I was so excited to see it came to the Switch. That is called the Framed Collection. So this is 2 games, and they are puzzle games unlike anything I've ever played personally myself. So the way that this works is that it's kind of like a film noir, where you are a spy. You're not exactly sure what's going on in the beginning of the game, where you're a spy, you have a briefcase, you're trying to basically get away from the cops. And it's very much, it looks like a comic book. So your character will run across a panel, and then in the next panel there may be a cop standing there. Well, you get caught, but you can move the panels around. So for instance, if there's a panel that's below that has, like, say, an alleyway, you put that panel first, your character runs, hits the alleyway, and then it goes to the panel with the cop. So you can rearrange the story in real time.
What?
It's awesome.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that sounds amazing.
It's awesome. So that's how this game works. It's very simple, yet it gets complex as it goes along, because you have more panels in there, and you have to kind of think about. You have to sort of think about the different panels, and okay, my character would hit here, go down the alleyway. Let's move this up here, or like if the character encounters a ladder or a pair of stairs, well, that'll take them up above the cop, and then you can rearrange it in any way you want. It's really cool. It even gets crazier later on when you can actually turn panels. So for instance, something that might be a stairs going up, you can turn it to going down. It's, like I said, it's unlike anything I've ever played before. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Each game is, I think, about 3 to 4 hours long.
You're blowing my mind right now, by the way.
It's so cool. And again, it's unlike anything I've ever played personally, so when it came to Switch, I was very excited I had to rebuy it. So.
And next up for me is Oxenfree.
A game I've heard of, but I know nothing about.
And it's funny, because when I started it, I was in that camp.
Okay.
Like, I had just, like, heard a decent amount about it, basically in title only, like, gotta check out Oxenfree. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And so when I bought it, and I didn't really know what to expect. And guess what? It's like a horror game.
From that title, I would not guess that.
No. And it's way different than what I was expecting. So the basic premise is every year in this small Pacific Northwest town, like, a bunch of teenagers go to this island that's like a decommissioned military island, kind of, turned tourist trap. So this is basically a ghost story. But the way they started off is so cool. You're like in this cave, and they're like, yeah, you know, the kids who come here, they say if you stand by these rocks and tune into the radio, some weird stuff happens. That's where you actually signal the ghost for the first time. And they kind of talk in weird military, like, almost riddles. Like they use like the language for the alphabet with military thing that I can't think of. Tango.
Oh, okay. I know. I don't know what it's called either.
I don't know what it's called.
Tango, Bravo, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they like use a little bit of that, and then at one point they're like, "Is leave possible?" And you're like, "I guess." So they're basically now you're stuck, and they're like, "We're gonna get off this island, and they're gonna help us." And then you end up in all these weird like time loops, and like it just gets crazy fast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and in this game, it's 2D, rather unassuming looking, but it had I jumped a couple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had jump scares. Not very many, but I was like, oh damn. And it's just not what I was expecting at all. And the main part of this game is the story. It does have the radio mechanic, and it has a few other things, and platforming and things like that, but it does have branching dialogue. And the way it does it, I think, is really cool. Like, it's very conversational. Someone's talking to you, and then you get 3 dialogue boxes above your head. But they're, like, timed, basically, because it's conversational. The conversation's happening in real time.
Okay.
And if you don't respond, the conversation will continue without you.
Oh, interesting.
Which I think is really cool.
That is cool. It keeps it going.
Yeah, there's no time to wait. Because, I mean, like, if we're talking and you're like, hey, Kinsey, what about this? And I'm like,
I would assume you've fallen asleep.
Yeah. But I just really like the way they did it. Okay. And what's great about this game is it is $19.99, but it goes on sale all the time for $4.99. That's what I bought it for.
Yeah.
Like, a while ago, and I think at that price point and the amount it goes on sale, it is so worth it.
Okay. Well, speaking of horror-themed games, mine is also that. It's funny how that worked out that way. This is called Death Road to Canada.
Oh, I'm in.
I know. So this is another game where a lot of people are talking about. They were so excited it was coming to the Switch, and I had to pick it up. So basically what this is The Walking Dead meets Oregon Trail. And
sorry.
Yeah, I know. So the classic Oregon Trail is, right, like you're in a covered wagon, you're trying to get to Oregon, you're going through all these trials and tribulations to get there. This game's very much like that. So you start in Florida, and you and your buddy hop in a car. It's zombie-infested apocalypse in America, but you get an inkling that up in Canada, they're safe. And so that's the plan, is that you need to survive a certain number of days on the road to get to Canada. And I've come so close. Oh my God. So this game is so much fun. So basically, it's completely randomized every single time you play it. Everything is randomized. The people, the locations, the stuff you encounter, the weapons, all of it. And it's so brilliant because, like the Oregon Trail, you run into scenarios where, you're cruising down the road and maybe you meet up with some a random person who seems crazy out of their mind on the side. Do you help them? Do you leave them there? And that can have repercussions as it goes on. A lot of moral choices. It's a very funny game. Surprisingly funny for being a zombie game, but laugh out loud. Like at one point, I picked up Elvis. and he sings. And also too, another thing that's kind of funny is that you can also create your own characters that may or may not show up in it. So I created myself on the main menu, and sure enough, in my game after a while, Metal Jesus showed up, but I don't know in what condition he is. So do I trust Metal Jesus? Do I not? Thankfully, it turned out that Metal Jesus was a ninja.
Oh, sweet. I was going to be like, well, I've been down that road before.
Yeah, and so it's definitely a really fun game. So it has the Oregon Trail aspect of it. Every once in a while, a couple times a day, you have to get out of your car and forage for supplies or weapons or try to find people. And that's really fun. So you're trying to find gasoline for your car, you're trying to find medical supplies, food, weapons, stuff like that. Absolutely charming game. So much fun. It's one of those games where when you die, you just want to do it again. You just want to, because I've never been to Canada, like in the game.
Gotta get there, man.
I gotta get there. I want to survive. I want to see what happens. Although knowing this game, don't spoil it for me, but it's probably messed up. It's probably funny when it gets there. So that's my guess.
So next up for me is Golf Story. And I think this is actually the only one on my list that's actually an exclusive. That's not on PC, that's not on... Now that I said it, it better be true. This is a really charming golf RPG. And what I love about it is it has the retro style graphics, so it reminds me of playing Mario Golf on the Game Boy.
Okay.
Like, it just brought up all those, like, feelings again, where I was like, this is the best! Like, I don't even like golf. But what it's such, like, a tale of an underdog. So, it all starts, you break up with your girlfriend, you tell her, I'm gonna go be a pro golfer, and that goes well. And you go back to the course that your dad originally taught you how to play golf on, is like the premise. And you have a lot of challenges ahead of you, because you can't just walk into a golf club and be like, I'm gonna be a pro golfer. Everyone's like, whatever, kid. So you have like reluctant coaches, like a really disheveled course that hasn't been as well cared for in a few years, kind of like a shady guy who owns it. So you have like all these obstacles to get through before you even get to play golf. Like,
So it's a really story-driven RPG.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not short on the golf, though.
Okay.
And it's awesome. Like, the golfing feels so good. I believe there's 8 different courses, so they mix it up really well. Like, there's a course that is, like, island-based, and that one's kind of hard because it's, like, a bunch of little islands. So, there's a lot of water traps.
I remember when this game was announced for Switch, and I don't know what I didn't buy it, but I wanted to. I think it came out at a time whenever other games were out, and it kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you're mentioning it here, because I'm kind of bummed. I want to pick it up.
It's so good.
Huh.
It's so good. I've never wanted to like pick up and play a golf game so much. The mechanics are solid. The writing is great. Like the actual story, and it's very conversational the way they did the writing. And even with the little speech bubbles, sometimes the words are really little and sometimes they're gigantic. And sometimes they're like, well, I tried. And they like, the speech bubble goes up and then it slants to the side. Like, just every little nuance about it. Like, it's really well done. It's really fun. And the golf is super solid.
All right. Well, that's cool. All right, well, next up for me is a shooter. I do love my shooters, and on the Switch, there is no shortage of them. There are a ton. And so I think for me, I'm always looking for the really good ones. And this one right here is excellent. It's called Danmaku.
Danmaku.
Yeah, Danmaku Unlimited
Cool name.
3. I've actually been playing this game for a couple of years because it originally came out on iPad, and it was fantastic there. It's been ported over to Switch. Fantastic as well. Not much really to say about this one other than it is really well designed. It's one of these games that understands what makes a good bullet hell shooter fun. For one, not everyone's really good at these games, so it does have multiple difficulty levels, which is nice. Another thing that's kind of, I don't know if it's unique to this or not, but it has a graze mechanic. So if you want to, and you want to really improve your game, you want to try to get your ship as close to the enemy bullets as possible, and you build up a meter that can basically have this massive charge that turns all the bullets into like dollars or gold that you collect.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, and it's tough. You don't have to do it. The other thing I really like about this game that does really well is that in order for a bullet hell style game to be good in my book, it's very important to know where that hitbox is.
Oh, yeah.
And this game has a very defined hitbox. So you know if you're in danger or not. And so, again, just really well designed. It has an amazing soundtrack by a Japanese hard rock metal band.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to play it in this video because I don't want to get a copyright strike, but trust me, it's amazing. It fits the game perfectly. It's definitely a really well-made bullet hell shooter on the Switch, so check it out.
That sounds awesome.
It is.
And my last game is Cat Quest. Oh my gosh.
You were so excited when this got announced.
You guys. This game is incredibly self-aware of how ridiculous it is, which is one of my favorite things about it. It just makes it super charming, and you're going on a possum adventure.
Okay.
Full of tons of cat puns, and if you're a cat person, like I am,
right,
it just, doubles the charm.
Yeah.
But it's also a really fun RPG. So the basic premise of this game is your sister gets kidnapped by this evil, wizard guy who brought the dragons back to the land. Because the land used to be at peace, of course.
Of course.
And then you find out you're actually a dragon blood, which is an ancient bloodline of the only cats who can defeat dragons. It's kind of Skyrim-y.
Yeah, yeah.
But I liked it, and I think it was very aware that it was channeling Skyrim.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, I love Skyrim. I love cats. Mush them together, but, Not exactly, because it is like very indie. It is pretty simple. The gameplay is very a slash and dodge kind of mechanic, but it makes it enjoyable. Like, you're also not just like kill, 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 kill. When you start, you actually do have to dodge, or else you'll die.
Oh, cool.
And you can get upgradable magic spells, which are sweet. But, like, it's so fun. It does get to a point where you are, like, godlike. And I do like this in games.
We were talking about this, yes.
Yeah, like, and it's not till the, like, pretty much the very end. So it's fine. But like,
it is really fun at the end of these RPGs when you are just, like, mowing down people.
Yeah.
I mean, you've earned it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And the secret weapons and the gear in this is great, so you better find them.
Okay.
They're so good. And you get really great upgrades that'll expand the world a little bit, like being able to swim and things like that, so you can get to different islands. And there's even some, like, secret islands that are super cheeky, super fun, so worth it to explore in this game. And yeah, like I said, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not too long, but it is an RPG. It has really fun, satisfying gameplay. Sometimes the dungeons can get a little bit stale because they're not super creative, but you know, for the price of this game, I don't think it really hurt that at all for me, but I loved it.
You know, it's funny, I'm thinking about this. The amount of variety on the Switch is, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little of everything on this thing. I mean, first-person shooters, we had all these puzzle games, RPGs, indie games. It's amazing.
Yeah, and like I was telling you earlier, I was actually having trouble paring my choices down to 5.
Yeah.
I realized for half the time I was thinking about it, I had 6. And I was like, oh crap!
I did too. I know. And so we want to here at the end just mention a couple things here. One, you know, we chose games that are $20 or under, but actually a lot of these go on sale.
Oh, yeah.
And Nintendo is putting these, you know, not only these games, but all sorts of games on sale all the time. So what I do is if a game comes out and I'm interested in it and maybe it's $29, I add it to my wish list.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, why not, right? And then who knows, maybe a month or a week or 2 months from now, it'll be 50% off. I was looking on there today and actually, I forget what game it was, but it was 80% off. It was basically like $2 when it was normally $20 or something.
Yeah.
So, I know.
Oxenfree does that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like $5 all the time.
Yeah.
So good.
Which, you know, as you guys noticed, we covered all digital games in this video. We obviously are physical collectors. You know, if there were physical versions of...
Hey everyone, welcome to our every few months an update video. Surprise, surprise. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a long time since we just had a chat. Just want to give you guys an update on everything going on in my world, in the YouTube world, and everything in between. So, thank you for being here, and hope you're having a great day. First things first, I want to talk about Indie Land, in case you guys don't know about it. This is our 4th Indie Land this year. We actually are launching our opening ceremony tomorrow, September 19th, over at twitch.tv/thecompletionist, but Indie Land is actually happening September 24th through the 26th. The 19th is like the opening ceremony where we're going to talk about the event. We're going to have a bunch of games there, some developers, and that's when the campaign officially starts on our end to raise money. If you guys at home want to help out, you're a streamer, you're a casual gamer, you want to raise money for charity, anything in between, you can join our Tiltify campaign. There's a link down below. You can make your own campaign and help us as a team, streaming team, hit our collective goal. So go ahead and do that. All money raised is going to dementia research and prevention in honor of my mom, who also had dementia. So this is all for a good cause in support of not only preventing and stopping and helping with research for dementia, but also exposure and playing a ton of indie games. We have over 50 indie games to showcase. Tons of developers are going to be there. Tons of your favorite YouTubers, maybe some celebrities will show up. It's always a crazy, fun time. And hey, it's going the entire time, a full 24/7 situation in that way of just rolling over from the 24th through the 26th. And we're giving away games. There's going to be pain. There's going to be fun. Come join us. It's a good time. Twitch.tv/thecompletionist. I hope to see you guys there. Remember, twitch.tv/thecompletionist on September 19th, September 24th, 25th, and 26th. Next up, just some little merch reminders. We, in Honor of Indie Land, have pre-orders for these t-shirts that are only available for the next couple of weeks. We have a challenge coin as well. And if you do sign up for the Tiltify campaign, you can also get some exclusive merch, like a water bottle or a towel. Boom, you get one of these bad boys. So yeah, New merch is always happening over at thecompletionist.com. If you are a fan of Frog in a Car, he's back in stock. There he is. Here comes that boy. They're selling, my dudes. This is your official first online video announcement about Frog in a Car being back. So if you want to get them, now's the time. Now I'm going to talk about the state of the channel, some videos we're working on, some stuff you guys just received, and everything in between. First off, if you guys didn't see Wednesday's video, or rather Tuesday's video, I just announced that I am working on a new side project called Complete Chaos, starring myself and Jack over at Toxic Eternity on his YouTube channel. We basically started a metal cover band. He's a talented musician. I am a crazy, weird singer, filmmaker, art person, and the two of us together, along with the people here in my office, we're making weird music videos that are basically kind of in the vein of like Will It Metal. And so we did a recent kind of metal pop punk version of Reach for the Stars from Sonic Colors, and the music video is out right now. You can watch it. The song is available for streaming and purchase